Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the remaining part of comparative perspective of curriculum development. This is a curriculum development in the Saudi Arabia. Uh, and number one is the introduction. Saudi Arabia cover most of the western corner of the Arabian Peninsula, which occupy the southwestern corner of the Asia of the peninsula. The total land of the about 3 million square kilometers. Saudi Arabia comprises nearly 22 lakh square kilometer. The country is bounded by the Arabian Peninsula, Persian Gulf, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates to the east. Oman, Yemen, Arabic Republic, and the People Democratic Republic of Yemen to the south, the Red Sea and the Gulf of Kaba to the west, the Jordan, the Iraq, and the Kuwait to the north. Historically, the country's harsh environment resulted in the low population density during 1930s. The population was estimated at 1.5 to 2 million people. The increase in oil income, especially during the 1960s and 1970s, the subsequent improvement in the income, nutrition, and health care have resulted in the reduction of the rate of infant mortality and rise in the life expectancy and almost the elimination of immigrant. Today, the country has a population about 3 to 5 million, with the annual birth rate is 49 per thousand and death rate is 19 per thousand, with about 40% of the population, but less than 15-year old. The native population can be expected to around 6 million in the year of 2000. Beside the native population, however, an estimated 1.5 to 2 million foreigner live in the country, consisting more than half of the labor force. Next one is industry, oil industry and the development related works. In the project have resulted in the rapid urbanization of the present parent and Nordic population. In 1970s, the 20% of the population was estimated to be living in the metropolitan area, towns of the more than 1 lakh people, and 20% small town and 60% in the rural area. Corresponding percentage from 1980s were 42 and 12 and 60% respectively. The Nordic population is gradually decreasing. It is now estimated about 3 to 5% of the total native population. The next one is the oil income has increased. The income increase as a result of fundamental demographic and the social economical changes such as rapid urbanization of the most population and almost total dependent on the oil based income, diminution of the value most of the form of traditional production like agriculture, herding, and fishing. An unprecedented increase in the import of the government rule as a reservoir of the national income, provided by the social services and planner and demonstration of national development. The first 5 year development plan was initiated in 1970s and second in 1975, and third in 1980. The major goals of latter have been: number one is diversify the economical basis of encouraging development in agriculture, mining, and industries. Number two is to provide sufficient medical and educational and social services to the population. Number three, to increase the number of skilled and Saudi labor force within the national development effort. The educational system is charged within three objectives. Which are the three objectives? Number one is to provide the at least basic education for all citizens, to provide students with the skill that are required by the changing need of the economy, and number C, to educate the student in the belief, practice, and value of the Islamic culture. Next one is the education system and the curriculum. The basically Supreme Council of the Education has a role of coordinating the educational effort in the Saudi Arabia under the authority of the four major educational bodies. Those who varying size and continuously independent from each other reflect the effort of cultural and socio-economical factor mentioned above. Each of these body will briefly describe follows. Number one is the Ministry of Education was established in 1954 to replace the Director General of Education, which have been charged in the education effort since 1926. Prior to 1926, the education effort is mostly limited to Quranic education with the thought the fundamental of religion, literacy, mathematics. Trade and craft was learned through the apprenticeship. Scholarship had an almost exclusive religious nature, and talented students also obtained the further training in Arabic and Sharia, the Islamic law. By the attaining more specialized lecture from established authorities in this subject. Next one is the attempt to introduce the more secular topic were started in late 80s by the Muslim philanthropists from the other land. A few Parsi secular school was established in Al Jaza, the western province of the Arabia in 1926 when the Director General of Education was established. The country had about 12 such schools within the total enrollment is about 709 people. Nearly 25 year later in 1951, the country has 325 government school and 40 private school with a total enrollment of about 42,000 students. The rise of school enrollment reflect the change in the socio-economical condition of the country. These changes have continued to take place at the accelerated pace and in 19 1 lakh 97,879 and nearly 25 years after establishment the Ministry of Education operates 6,560 school with the total enrollment of this is 7 lakh 58,614 male student predominantly the elementary intermediate and secondary stages. These number accounted for nearly 57% of the total student in the country. Secondly, the General Administration of Girls' Education was established in 1960. Operation from the objection from the concerned parents, ulama, religious servant to the girls' school, based on their fear of such freedom, school might be undesirable effect on the girls. Delay the establishment of this school by the government until 1960s. The girls' school, which put under the ulama on administration, were those independent Ministry of Education. The first year AGE opened 16 school less than 20 years later in 1976 the GZ operated 26,644 school mostly elementary intermediate and secondary school. With the total enrollment is the 4 lakh 25,000 042 female students. These students make up 32% of the total student body in the country. Next one is the thirdly the other organization other government educational organization in 1970s 79 to 80s most almost 60% of all students in Saudi Arabia in enrolled in the education institute that did not under the Ministry of Education or the GACG. This institution was operated by the Ministry of Higher Education, the Ministry of Defense, the Health, Social Affair, Communication are one of the other government agency which offer the specialized kind of instruction. Further, the private school are the oldest type of school in the modern Saudi Arabia. Prior to the availability of the government school, well-off families used to send their children to the private school in the neighboring country. Or few private school that exist inside the Saudi Arabia in 1950 or 51. The Private school is constitute about 11% of the all school in the country. 40 out of 36 365, and in 1979 80%, 80 they made up of 4.3% of the all school. 43 out of 433 out of 10,000. The decline to share the private school in the educational effort reflect the tremendous increase in the number of government school. Nevertheless, there has been actual increase in 393 private schools since 1950 to 51. The increase in these schools reflect two development and the socio-economical condition of the Sudanese society. Number one is rise the number of working mother who send their small children to daycare and kindergarten, which make up nearly one third of the private cell the size of upper middle and middle classes. To some of those member who chosen to send their children to privately run school, where the quality of instruction is taught to be usually better than the public school. In 1979 to 80, there was 65,635 students enrolled in the private school in the country. 41,157 and 24,481 girls, accounting nearly 5% of the total student body in the Saudi Arabia. While the organizations that administer the formal education in the Saudi Arabia are various and independent of each other, the basic plan of their program is almost identical. There is elementary school of 6 year education begin after the children has reached at the age of 6. Next stage is intermediate or the middle age that which lasts for the 3 year. Third stage is secondary stage, which also least for the 3 year. Student who go on the school college spend an average of 4 year of obtaining bachelor degree in the social sciences arts and average of 5 year for obtaining bachelor degree that exact sciences. With little prior expertise in the modern education, the educational system in the Saudi Arabia basically adopted the Egyptian school curriculum, adding a heavier emphasis on the religious subject curriculum. Both girls and boys are identical, except as girls' school. Other classes in the home management, cooking, and the swing, while the boys' school do not offer. There is a heavier emphasis in the boys' school on the physical education than the girls' school. Private school are supervised by the Ministry of Education or the Gaza. Their curricula is basically identical for those who are of the public schools. Next one is the basic ministry of both Ministry of Education and the GAGE have a curriculum development, although little has changed in their educational program since their inception. Both organizations hire the author to require textbook, print the books, and distribute them among their schools. Thus, there is a uniform curriculum in the industry, in the country. The general composition of the curriculum showed the greater time is allocated in to the religious subject in first grade. All the students in the higher school classes emphasize on the degrees accordingly. In the country, English is not taught in the initial grade, while it is given an importance in the higher grade. Implementation of the curriculum is ensure that the variety of means, such as school principal visits by the inspector from the district officer, as well as the system of final examination, will cover all the material that is supposed to be taught in the particular semester. The teacher and teaching method differ from the subject. Teacher of the religious subject emphasize memorization of the religious tasks rather use of teaching aids. Other than Blackboard, a teacher of the Arabic use a Blackboard and required a fair amount of text memorization. Teacher of the science subject use a libraries, laboratories when they are available in their school. Most of the school library, however, are deficient either equipment or qualified personnel or both. Language laboratories exist in small elite school for the teaching English. The Arabic language is the instruction through the elementary, intermediate, and the secondary level. Uh, at a college level, the Arabic medium in art and humanities and the social sciences, English medium is a medium at is the medium at instruction and engineering, medicine, and natural sciences. College level textbook are Arabic, and college instruction will who have used Arabic often type of their own notes, use them basic required text that result in shallowness in educational standard in some college department. From grade 1 to 2, 1 to 12, the school year is divided into two semesters that require the instructional material from a year is divided into two half. At the end of each semester, there is an examination that cover one half. The student make in a two semester are added up to the makeup his or her marks for the whole year. If the final marks is below a certain percentage, the usually 50 percentage student fail in the subject sit in the another examination in the subject that at the end of semester. If the student is fail again and attain the required number minimum marks, he or she and then repeat whole year, retaking all subject of the year, including those who are already passed, the succeeding in the passing examination, those who constitute only criteria for promotion from 1 year or a grade higher one. College also open on a semester basis, but the number of universities credit unit system has been adopted. Thus, the student who fail in a particular subject do not have to repeat the whole year or semester, but rather than the subject they have fail in it or is it. Next one is the curriculum development in the Pakistan introduction. Pakistan inherited system of education which has been designed to produce a literate manpower to assist the colonial master at a lower level of government and economical administration. Education was meant only for the privilege of few who were supposed to govern the masses rather than serve them. In order to provide an efficient class of administration, generalized, the main stress was on art, scientific, and professional education was limited. At the time the independence in Pakistan, 90% of population was illiterate with only handful of education institution. Only 2 out of 21 university of the undivided India was situated in the Pakistan. From 1947 to 1955, administration of education in Pakistan was responsible for the local body. With the introduction of the one unit scheme, one unit scheme, education become the provincial subject. General policy and overall coordination was landed by the national government through the Ministry of Education. Six regional directorate of journal and two directorate of technical educational handled administrator. Intermediate secondary education was under the control of four board. Those who could afford quality of education were available to them in privately financed school. Most of these schools were run by the ministry group, which mean a continuum of British influence. First educational conference held in Karachi in November 1947 produced a number of recommendations designed to make the educational system strong and relevant to the country need to be aspirants. This include making the Urdu the official language, curriculum revision, diversification of course, compulsory religious instruction, and development of administrative machinery. But little of this ambitious blueprint was actually established because the prevailing socio-political and economical condition. No comprehensive educational reform was attempted prior to 1958. A few uncoordinating changes was introduced, pertaining essential to curriculum matter in the primary and lower secondary level. Very little attention was given to the higher education. Some of technical courses was introduced in the class 6 to 10, and the few polytechnical and home economics courses was established. Ministry of Education attempt to comprehensive review of the education in conjunction with the preparation of six-year development plan 1952 to 58, but lack of finance limited the implementation. Although the goal and objective of six-year development plan and those who first five-year plan was not achieved in any significant extent, yet many of the ideas contained in them become the part of later reform. In 1959, Commission on the National Education called for an overhaul of the structure and redefinition of the policy of the education in the development of the manpower and the national character. Now new type of teaching techniques and specialized center was proposed. Curriculum at different stages were to become more diversified, and technical education and the research were to expanded. The commission for the changing in the administrative control for the professional challenge college and for the lengthening the duration of course in the center of excellence special center for the gifted student were emphasized on science. A new instruction created during the second plan period 1962-65, including the setting up the Bureau of Education for Research and Data Collection. Pilot secondary school will diversified curriculum. Educational Extension Center, Agriculture and Energy, Engineering Universities, Institution of Education and Research, Textbook Board, Board of Technical Education. The plan to reorganize higher education to increase the degree level beyond classes from 12 was frustrated due to the holistic reaction of the student establishing of higher secondary board relieve the university and allow them to concentrate on the higher education. Next one is the new education policy in 1969, the educational reform in say 1975 72. Drawn up fairly radical proposal that will emphasize upon student and teacher involvement in the running of educational instruction, recognition of the importance of national regional languages, a call of setting university commission, demand for changing in the university ordinance and in the management of privately managed institution, establishment of a national literacy corps was also proposed. In short, a new educational policy in 1972 aimed the restructuring the education from top to bottom. However, implementation of this policy was hampered for several reasons. Nationalization of school and the college resulted in the unprecedented increase in the educational budget of the sharp decline in the educational standard. Based on the recommendation of the various committees, National Bureau of Curriculum and Syllabi and the National Textbook Board was set up in February 1967 within the Ministry of Education. Initially, the function investigate the for the Bureau of Curriculum and Syllabi are number one to ensure that the connection of ensure that the content of education is unified of all province so that the school college and university in all province produce a graduate of more or less equal academic level sharing the common national outlook and aspirant to the common national goal. To coordinate the work of the province in order to evolve common curriculum and syllabi. Number three, to undertake the comparative study of the curriculum. Number four, to identify the problem and determine the area where the research is needed to define the research priorities and design the research projects. Number five, to hold the consultation with the subject matter specialist, teacher, and other personals. Number six, to hold the seminar and the meetings. And number seven, to prepare the report for the other documents. Next one is the function of the National Bureau of Textbook was outlined is below. Number one is to lay down the board national policy governing and preparing and production of the textbook, to review the textbook from the time to time to see that they are keeping with the change taking place from time to time. Number three, to ensure that the content of education are identical and that achievement at the different level of education, primary, secondary, it is more or less graded academic standard. Number four, to produce model textbook up to pre university level. And number five, to produce a standard book on a selected discipline, Islamic ideology, economics, and civics, etc. Before the adaptation of 1933 Constitution, the National Bureau of Curriculum and the textbook were entirely provincial subject, whether under the 1973 Constitution provision. Curriculum syllabi, planning policy, center of excellence, standard of education, and Islamic education was placed on the concurrent legislative list of federal government. This function of NBCT as manually agreed between federal and provincial government are followed follows. Number one, to assist and advise the government in formulation and implementation of national policy with respect to curriculum development and evaluation of textbook production. Number two, coordinate the curriculum and textbook development activities and project in the provincial bureau of boards. Number three, to provide a leadership in the curriculum and textbook development in journal to play active role in those provinces where the resources are not yet to be developed. Number four, to conduct a research in the curriculum development on a different aspect of curriculum renovation for the class 1 to 12, to publish the curriculum bulletin and textbooks and handbooks. Number five, to collect the information and data regarding curriculum development and textbook production in other countries, and after assessing the development in the light of curriculum research dissemination, some of the provincial agencies concerned, to provide the guidance and resource material to the textbook board and author in production of the textbook, workbook, and primer and the readers. The seven, to evaluate the textbook for all level against the national standard aim and objective. Number eight, to advise concerning curriculum and material for the special education need to community development project. To nine, to liaise with the educational institution and authority in Pakistan with the international agencies like UNESCO, IB, UNICEF, ILO with the curriculum development organization in the foreign countries. The function of provincial bureau is follow. The provincial bureau of curriculum will be responsible for preparing the initial draft of syllabi in given subject for the consideration of the national committee concerned, and for micro testing in the final curriculum draft. Number two, the bureau will collaborate with the provincial textbook board in the preparation of textbook manuscript based on the agreed national curriculum. Number C is provincial board will collaborate with the various board, educational extension center, teacher training organization, and educational equipment center in the implementation of agreed curriculum. Uh, The educational policy of 1979 and the greater emphasis on the religious education and the Pakistan study, it is try to integrate the religious institution with the mainstream national educational institute in order to achieve the target of universal primary education. Revival of mosque school and marketable was proposed. A women university was proposed to set up the country in strengthen the female education. 102 is a curriculum development review and a reform. The Educational Commission 1959 analyzed the situation partnering the curriculum development and reform and pointed out their report that first, number one is first, it must provide adequate knowledge of the subject that will be needed to every pupil for leading the useful and happy life in the fast developing society. This should be form the core of compulsory subject which every student must taken up. Secondly, the curriculum should include such as traditional subject, additional subject and training, as well farm preparation for a specific vocation and characters. Vocation and careers. The process of curriculum constitution and its revision in the light of evolving social and individual characteristic and need to be continuous one. The curriculum should be adapted to the mental ability of the children age 5 to 10 related to the normal situation they are faced with in everyday life. It must be designed to develop the basic skill in reading, writing, and arithmetics, liking the patriotism. Teaching method should be as far as possible use the activity or project approaches, and the teacher should show initiative in the use of local material and as a teaching aids. Religious education should be compulsory subject throughout the primary stage. Do emphasize should be placed on the teaching on the national languages in the national languages. With the regard of textbook, the relevant recommendation of the commission are produced below. The responsibility for drawing up syllabus and prescribing course in normally that of education authorities, however, to realize the national objective of education laid down in this report, the Ministry of Education set up a textbook board. It should be a small autonomous body within the representative from the province and should be worked through the textbook committee operate within the sphere of each educational authorities. The responsibility of textbook board should be of frame the syllabus according to the recommendation made in the report and lay down the policy for the preparation printing and publication of the textbook. Purpose of process of curriculum development. The process of curriculum development which is generally followed in Pakistan with the slightly variation may be described consist of following stage. Number one, determining the aims and goal of the education. The first step in the process of curriculum development is important to determine the aim and goal of the education. Guidance to the curriculum development is provided in the respect by the prevalent education policy. Cabinet decision or some of other policy statement by the president, prime minister of Pakistan, or the federal minister of education. Number two, formulation of the various committee by the curriculum wing in precedence, the policy statement of the public of the policy guidelines. The curriculum wing and the Ministry of Education appoint a two committee at the national level, while the National Committee of Secondary Education and the Primary Education each. The subject committee at a primary and secondary levels operates separates these committees which include the teacher, subject specialist, administrator, further delineate aims of the education from the subsequent input. The curriculum wing, along with the constitution, the above mentioned committee also communicate the aims and objective of the education and other policy guidelines to the Curriculum Research Development Center at the provincial level for appropriate action in respect to curriculum development. The proposal by the CRDC and Curriculum Bureau, the Curriculum Research and Development Center, and the Bureau for the Curriculum Functioning at the provincial level take appropriate initiative and finalize their proposal, keeping in view overall aim of education, local situation, and their research experience, and etc. And send the same national curriculum national committee on a secondary primary education as a case may be further proceeding. Processing in the National Committee, having a revised curriculum proposal from the provincial CRDC and BC relevant committee, i.e., either the secondary or primary level committee, ascertain their suitability in the light of overall aim of education, and then within the recommendation and observation send their curriculum proposal to the relevant subject committee. The relevant subject committee consider the whole package and send back to the primary secondary level of committee at the national level, from whose it had received. The primary and secondary level committee functioning at the national level reconsider the original proposal and the subsequent recommendation and accord a final approval of the curriculum. Next one is textbook. Textbook play a very important role in the educational activity. It was in the recognition of the role that fully fledged textbook sector was established in the Bureau of Curriculum and Textbook in 1974. The main objective has given under the under number one to coordinate the work of four province textbook bureau, to keep check on the price of the textbook published by the boards, to ensure the key textbook prepared by the province conform to the national aims and objective as expressed through the national curriculum, maintain the uniform standard in the textbook, both content and the production, the produce leadership to the board for the preparing the model textbook. Next one in preparation, production of the textbook. Production of textbook in Pakistan is basically responsible of the four provincial textbook board. These board are autonomous, recognized under the administrative authority in the provincial educational department. The process by textbook production for the class 1 to 12 start from the federal Ministry of Education. The federal Ministry of Education formulate the curriculum and diverse scheme of study, and finalized curriculum are forwarded to the CRDC and Bureau of Preparation of Textbook. For the preparation of manuscript of textbook, two type of practice are prevalent. Some of the board of appointment board appoint a panel of authored for writing a textbook and manuscript. A committee of bureau expert examine the manuscript. The best manuscript is selected for the publication and prescription. In a certain cases, there is no manuscript is found to the marked lesson or chapter are selected from the different manuscript in the board on the book. The finally selected and adopt the manuscript is submitted to the federal minister of education for approval. The ministry with the consent of the provincial education department constitution of the national constitute a national review committee for all the subject area. The nominees for the member of national committees are made by the province, consisting the subject expert, curriculum planner, and the teacher. The committee from the various subject areas examine the respective manuscript with the view ascertain the true spirit of national curriculum is reflected in the textbook. The committee later the subsequently from the grade as well as age and the ability level of the textbook remain uniform and ensure that there is no overleading measure to reduce the prices are considered as well. The examined manuscript will with the committee are sent back to the bureau of for printing. The job for printing and publishing the textbook is contract out to private publisher, private printer or publisher. And this distribution of these textbook is done by the private agencies. The publisher is mostly centered in at the big city like Karachi, Lahore, Peshawar, Hyderabad, Kota, and sell these books through the retailer. Since the prices of the books are kept in a minimum, the amount of profit of this book is to be kept at a minimum. The amount of profit of the publisher and the commission or retailer are a specific prescribed by the textbook board. These are the some curriculum summary of the system of the education and the curriculum for the sum of the world. These are the USA, and number one is a USA. Sorry. This is a number. This is a summary. The name of the country is a number one is a USA. System of education is a diverse system of education exists in the various state. इसमें डिफरेंट इसमें आपके सिस्टम ऑफ एजुकेशन है और उसके साथ जो है